Hey guys, what's going on? This is neo-serf. Uh, gonna talk a bit about video games today. Um, I just got so annoyed reading the games press recently because it's just irritating to have to listen to PR drones lie to your face over and over again. I'm sick and tired of having to read nonsense in my news, okay? What I'm talking about here is Destiny 2's console offering that will be coming out recently. There's an article on Eurogame, I'll link it, and that references an older article on IGN. It's talking here about why Destiny 2 is running at 30 frames per second. This is in 2017, dudes. We're going back in time to the PlayStation 1 era. Yeah, I mean, let's just read this. Somebody asked this a question to some guy called Mark Noseworthy, and he writes this. I mean, I'm going to wade into this, and you can flesh it out, Smith said. The console, the PS4, is super powerful, but it couldn't run our game at 60. I mean, let's just stop there. It couldn't run our game at 60. The console could not run the game at 60. That's what this guy is saying. Imagine if you go to a fucking tailor or something and you ask the guy to make a suit for you, and you come back later and you try on the suit, and the suit is just too big. It's too big for you. And the tailor turns around and says to you, "Oh, sorry, it turns out that you were just too small for the suit that we made for you." How fucking dumb is that? How fucking dumb is that? So here we got this guy saying, "Oh, sorry, the console can't handle the game that we made for it." No, dumbass. The console is exactly the same as it's always been. Your job was to make a game that runs on the machine that's available. I mean, come on. PS4 was released in 2013, and it's been out for something like 3.5 years at this point. You don't really have a fucking excuse to not know what the performance of the machine is going to be like. This is already the second Destiny game that you're making on the machine. You're using the engine from the first game. You know what the target is, you know what you're developing for, and you know what your engine is capable of. You are perfectly capable of doing the optimization if you can fucking be bothered. If you're not a shit tier developer, basically, you can optimize the game to perform properly on the hardware that the fucking thing is targeted for. Jesus fucking Christ. Alright, the bullshit continues. Uh, our games, this rich physics simulation where collision of players, networking, etc., and like it wouldn't run. Dot dot dot. There's not enough horsepower there. I mean, garbage sentences aside, this is just pure stupidity. Our game is this rich physics simulation where collision of players, networking, etc. That's it. Just collision of players and networking. I mean, what the fuck are you doing that Half-Life 2 didn't do, in 2005, 2004, whenever it came out? Nothing. Nothing. Your game, I mean, you can go and play it. Destiny 1 doesn't even look as good as other contemporary first-person shooters. You can play the first game and put it next to uh, whatever Call of Duty came out contemporary with it. I think it was Black Ops 3. It looks significantly worse. Okay, and it runs at 30 FPS with Black Ops 3 running at 60. Alright, and the reason given is that they're trying to catch up to features that Half-Life 2 was able to provide on the Xbox 360 at 60 frames per second, as far as I know. If they could do it on the Xbox 360, you can do it better on the next generation of consoles after that. They must be at least 2 or 3 times more powerful than the Xbox 360. But you still can't optimize it to run at a playable frame rate. I mean, I just get annoyed listening to people make stupid excuses for just not doing a great job at something. At a certain point, you just gotta, at a certain point, you just gotta admit that you're not really such a great developer if you can't do this. Okay? I mean, you don't see fucking Carmack working on games that are running at like, 28 frames per second or something. When the latest Doom came out, it was running on Carmack's engine and they optimized it properly for 60 FPS on every target platform. If they can do it, you can do it. All you need to do is do the fucking work. Do the fucking work. Stop making excuses for being shit at your job, you twat. I think as a fan of video games, nothing makes me more depressed than watching a decent title just get fucked over by small and fixable design problems. And the first Destiny was one of those games that had potential, but just stupid decisions were fucking it over. And two particular engine decisions that they made in that game were particularly irritating to deal with. One of them was this decision to go for 30 frames per second at 1080p, okay? Just render it at 720p and upscale it, okay? Just a decent, fast, stable frame rate is the most important thing for a first-person shooter because you need to be constantly adjusting your view all the time in order to actually aim at whatever you're looking at, and you need that stable, safe frame rate in order to make each thumb movement accurate and move exactly where you want it to be. So that's super important. Another thing that's important is that you need to be able to fucking see what you're doing. When you're playing a first-person shooter, you're right in there inside the action. And a huge problem with that is that you just don't have the peripheral vision you would have in a third-person game. So when you're playing a first-person shooter, you have to overcompensate by increasing the field of view past what it would be if you were looking through your TV. You get this slight fisheye effect if you've done it right, and that gives you a peripheral vision of preferably somewhere around 100, 110 on a widescreen monitor. Destiny 2, the first Destiny had something retarded like 80 degrees on a widescreen monitor, and the horizontal was less than 40 degrees. I tried to count out what it was, and it's hard to do basically, but I tried to count, and my estimation that it was 40 degrees or less. So it's like you're fucking. I mean, a real life example would be trying to walk around your apartment while with one eye pressed up against like a cardboard toilet roll tube or something. You literally can't see what you're doing. You can see what's ahead of you, but you can't maneuver around your environment where you are. I guess it just really seems like in a technical sense, in some way, video games are going backwards because we seem to be once again struggling with a problem that was solved 20 years ago. Okay, when Quake 1 fucking came out, there were console commands that allowed you to change the FOV in the game. And in pretty much every game since then, there have been FOV sliders that you could change up and down. This is a solved problem. We don't need to be dealing with this kind of bullshit in 2017, okay? Just put in a field of view slider. It's not that hard. You already have... The worst thing about this is it's already going to be there on the PC version. The PC version is going to run at 60 frames per second, so they're already doing the work to make sure that the game is stable at that frame rate. And they have to add the field of view slider anyway, because people have different kind of monitors, and that's not really why. The reason why is because people on PC expect the games to run at 60 FPS, and they expect a field of view slider, and they expect to be able to adjust their graphics settings. It's just literally a culture thing. And for some reason it's decided that because people are on games consoles, they don't expect to have a game that performs properly or that has, these basic options that PC games have. Anyway, I'm just going to end up being vindicated when this game is released on PC, because the PS4 and Xbox One are just x86 PCs with, I think, Nvidia or whatever GPUs in them. A lot of people have PCs that are basically a similar level of power as the PS4 and PS4 Pro. Okay? and any one of them could just buy the Destiny game and just optimize the game so it runs at 60 FPS on their rig, on a PC that's literally the exact equivalent of the base PS4 and Xbox One. And it'll just be obvious that, obviously, with the right options in place, the game could run at 60 FPS because somebody will have actually tested it on the fucking hardware. And yeah, it'll just become obvious that it's a culture of just dicking people. That's what console development is today. It's a console of dicking people, just annoying them just for the sake of it. That's what it really feels like. I don't know why they're doing this to themselves. Why are you fucking over your own game? Reducing the frame rate of your own game and just annoying people who want to play it at a playable frame rate. What the fuck are you achieving? Just optimize the game properly. How much work can it be compared to just making the whole thing in the first place? Ugh, endless annoyances, man. Anyway, consoles today are just fucking bullshit. And again, as I said before earlier in the stream, it's purely cultural. It's become a cultural thing on consoles for developers not to optimize games properly, release things that run at 30 FPS or less, or less. That is just not acceptable. That is not acceptable in the modern world. So there it is. That's my opinion on Destiny 2 and modern console development. It's total bullshit. If I was Sony or Microsoft, this is the point at which I would step in, because their consoles are getting some pretty bad reputations. This generation kind of has the reputation of being the worst console generation for a long time. And what's really needed is some level of quality control from the console manufacturers. If I was Sony or Microsoft, I would just step in and say, okay, every game needs to run at 60 FPS roughly, or every game needs a 60 FPS option, and just make it mandatory from now on. Force the developers to do the work if they even want to release the game. That's really the only way that these consoles can kind of dig themselves out of the poor reputation that they've got. Because really, it's not a technical problem. It's just the fact that people are just being lazy in their development methods, and as I said, they're fucking themselves over, and they're fucking over the parent companies of the consoles that they're developing for by giving everyone a bad name when it's not necessary. That's all I've got to say. It's a stupid rant, really. It's not even important, but I did it. So fuck off. This is neo-serf. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.